Welcome to episode 29 of the Ponder Pod. I'm Laura, joined by Pastor Jeremy. Welcome to the table.
Thank you. Hey.
Jeremy, today is the day that the Lord has made. It is a good day to be alive and a good day to be in the Word, and I'm excited to talk about it with you today.
Me too.
So we're going to jump in. We're in chapter 14 in our study of John. The purpose of our study is the same as John's purpose for writing his gospel, that we would believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and by believing we would have life in his name. So we have been studying this as a church now for 7 months, all
year so far,
2026, yeah. And again, just continuing to see these themes of Jesus being revealed and then the call for us to respond in belief to him. So as we come into chapter 14, we will spend 2 weeks, this week and next week, within this first kind of half, verses 1 through 14. But before we come into this section, kind of remind us just what's happening, what has just happened, what's been going on within the gospel.
Yeah, and so, the majority of John up until this point is Jesus' earthly ministry with his disciples. It's covering like a 3.5 year period, right? Then you get to chapter 13, and things slow down, time-wise. And you get in 13, and it's Jesus, his last night with his disciples. They are in the upper room, as described in this chapter, celebrating the Passover. And in this last, 12 hours with his disciples, he's telling them a lot of things that are kind of troubling. One, he tells them that he will soon be leaving them, right? That's a big deal to them because they have been introduced to the gospel by Jesus. And they have been following him, and they're still trying to understand what it is he's teaching, but they are walking. They do have saving faith, if you will. But now he's saying, yep, I'm getting ready to go, though. All right? And that troubles them. Also in this, he tells them that one of them is going to betray him. That's a troubling thing. Yeah. Peter, bless his heart, he's always, talking much like myself. And he's like, well, Jesus, I'll never leave you. Where you go, I go. And then Jesus tells Peter, hey, you're going to deny me 3 times before the rooster crows. That's troubling. And during those last few hours in the upper room with his disciples, he's teaching them a couple things as well. He's teaching them, one, what sacrificial love looks like. He does that through the washing of their feet. Right. He's humbling himself, right, to a form of a man which is lesser than Yahweh himself. He did this purposely for their salvation, for our salvation. And he's demonstrating that in washing their feet, right? And so he's teaching them what sacrificial love and service looks like. And then he even says at the end of chapter 13 as well that I have a new commandment for you, that you love one another. Yeah. And it's because of your love for one another that people will know that you are one of his disciples. And so he's unpacking all of these truths for them and declaring these things in the upper room. And I think his disciples, we can see, they are a little confused. And I think they're a little troubled. Yeah. Jesus is going to go away soon. We got somebody betraying him. The head disciple in Peter is going to deny him. And so I think when we get into chapter 14, we have some disciples who are fearful. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. And even just helpful reminders for us as we would study. Again, these are kind of familiar passages to us. And so I think it's easy to kind of just read through them and not really kind of put ourselves in the context and the setting that's happening here. And if we can't do that, we'll miss a lot of the weight and the magnitude of what's happening. Even we talked about that within the last couple of weeks of the foreshadowing of Jesus washing the disciples' feet, pointing to the greater humility of the cross. And so we should take care, I think, not to just kind of blow past this, not to rest in the familiarity of it. And then second thing, we should remember to read kind of as within the context. And so a great practice for us as we're coming into these chapters is to read from like 13 through 17 kind of in one sitting. So take a day this week and just sit down and read all of that within context, and then go back and kind of study deeper these smaller sections. So you say they've got these troubling things going on. Jesus has just told Peter, you will deny me. And immediately now we get chapter 14, verse 1. He says, let not your hearts be troubled. Believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many rooms. If it were not so, would I have told you that I go to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and will take you to myself, that where I am, you may be also. And you know the way to where I am going. Thomas said to him, Lord, we do not know where you are going. How can we know the way? Jesus said to him, I am the way, and the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you had known me, you would have known my Father also. From now on, you do know him and have seen him. So we'll pause right there.
Yeah.
Really significant declaration from Jesus about who he is, this revelation of himself, is that he is the way, the truth, and the life. That will be our big truth for the next 2 weeks. So let's just kind of take that. Again, I think it's familiar. I think we know that. I think even our kids could like fill in the blanks for what those things are supposed to be. But if we're going to ponder and kind of consider the implications of that proclamation, just let's talk about that. Kind of help us think through, what does that actually mean for Jesus to be the way, the truth, and the life?
Yeah, and so Jesus is the way. Well, first of all, we have to understand, like, the way where?
Right.
Right? The way to the beach? Right?
Probably not.
Probably not, right? But, no, he's the way to something. Well, he's the way to the Father. He's saying, I'm leaving you, don't be troubled. I'm going away to the Father. And I'm the way to the Father. And so, guess what? His disciples, they would love to come with him. I would love to come with him. Well, I can, because he is the way. If I follow him, he is the way to the Father. And so how does he even make that way? Well, he's making the way to the Father in his leaving them. He is going to die on a cross and be the propitiation for their sins, so that they too may be able to be in the Father's presence. He is the way to that. There is no other way. And so don't be troubled. I'm leaving, and this is a blessing for you that I'm leaving, because I am the way, and I am the truth, and I am the life. And so he's even in the truth. Can we go ahead and talk about that?
Sure.
All right, and so just to go in that order, and so he is the way to the Father, and he is the truth. There is no other truth. It's not like Jesus is a truth among many other truths. No, he is the truth. And if he is true, and he is telling me he is the way, and for me not to be troubled that he is leaving, I can trust him, even if I can't understand it. And that's going to be important for the disciples, because all they have known is being in Jesus' presence for the past 3 years. That's all they have known.
Right.
And now he is saying, still follow me even though you don't see me. And they can't understand that.
Yeah. If you go back to like 13, when he says, they will know that you are my disciples by the way you love one another. Previously, the way they have known that they are Jesus' disciples is because they have been with Jesus.
That's right.
And so to your point, it really is a shift for all of their life. And so it seems natural to us then that they would be troubled about these things, and then Jesus says to not be. And he's really kind of helping them understand why, but also how they are to not be troubled. So
and think about that. So then you get to Jesus leaves, right? He dies. And then we know he's resurrected in 3 days. He's told the disciples this. They haven't quite got it, but we know this today. But then he does go back. He does ascend back into heaven. And so the further the disciples are removed from him, they're going to experience things. They're going to experience hardships, right? And to which they would want to be like, man, but if Jesus were here, it would be so much better. Is this real? Is this not real? Is there another way? Should we look for another way? But he's saying, no, listen, I'm the way and I am the truth.
Yes.
Hold on and believe to what I have told you, because that's what is going to sustain you. That and the helper he's going to send.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's important for them because, they're troubled now upon hearing this, but they will be very tempted to be troubled later.
Sure.
And he's preparing them for that. And he's saying, so I am the way, I am the truth, but I am the life. Meaning he is life. Life is found in him alone. He is everything. My life is in him. And so no matter what earthly circumstances I might be tempted to be troubled by, life is found in him. Yeah. And he has promised that he is making a way and he will return. He's promised that. That's a guarantee regardless of earthly circumstances. And so he's trying to comfort them in saying, listen, and I'll just say it, he says, believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many rooms. If it were not so, would I have told you that? Again, he's truth.
He's the truth.
He's the truth.
You can trust what he says.
That I go to prepare a place for you, and if I go and prepare a place for you, I'll come again and I'll take you to myself, that where I am, you may be also. Because they desire to be with him. The Christ follower desires to be with Jesus. And you know the way to where I'm going. And Thomas, Lord, we only know where you're going. That's my paraphrase.
We don't even know the destination. How can we know the way?
That's exactly right. And then he says, I am the way. I am the truth. I am the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Thomas, disciples, Christ followers in 2026. I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. Do not be troubled. Trust me. Yeah. That's a powerful message for the disciples when they're tempted to be troubled. Man, it's a really powerful message for us today.
That's really good. So let's, what's the difference in how we would think about it as Jesus showing us the way or Jesus knowing the way versus Jesus being the way?
Yeah, and so our faith is in a person of Jesus Christ, right? It's not in me doing the things, right? It's not in me knowing the exact path. No, it's him. Yeah. Life is wrapped up in him. I had a conversation with somebody earlier, and we're talking about salvation. And they're like, do I have to have so much faith to be saved? Like, what does that look like? Like, they're trying to put that on some sort of linear scale to measure. And we've been talking about this for a while. And this morning we're sitting there talking about, it's like, listen, it's who your faith is in.
Yeah, that's right.
It's who your faith is in. Because he is the truth. He is the way. He is the life. It's not, man, I finally have 85% faith in Jesus, so my salvation's secure. No, is your faith in Jesus? Do you believe that he's the way? Do you believe that he is true? Do you believe that he is who he says he is? Is all of life found in him? Right? I have to know him. And I think that gets at what you're asking.
Yeah, that's good. And so also as we would think about Jesus as the way, I think one of the ways that we maybe limit our interpretation of this passage is we often think about it as primarily for the unbeliever. And so I appreciate you would even kind of thread this a little bit. You would say, this is for us as Jesus followers in 2026. Like, we would think, you look at all of these world religions, and we would say, no, Jesus is the way. No one comes to the Father except through him. But within the context of this passage, Jesus is talking to the disciples.
That's right.
And so as we would think about that, and as we would think about the purpose or the end of the way as access to the Father, why is that so important for us today in our culture and our context?
Yeah, and so the disciples were troubled. He is comforting them with this truth, right? Fast forward 2,000 years, we are troubled sometimes. There are things that trouble us. That could be just life circumstances, that can be health, that can be relationships, that can be, things within our culture, society, government, whatever that thing is for you. And Jesus is still the way. He's still the truth. He's still the life. So we shouldn't be troubled by those things. It's not that we're not concerned. It's not that those things aren't real. It's not that the disciples weren't going to face persecution, because we know that to be true. Jesus knew that to be true. But we should not be troubled because we should keep our faith and believe in God. Yeah. And he's saying, believe in God. If you believe in God, also believe in me. Mm-hmm. And that's when he comes down to the end. If you had known me, you would have known my Father also. From now on, you do know him and have seen him. He's again saying, listen, I am God. Yeah. And I am the way to God. I am the truth. I am life. And so for us, even in our most extreme circumstances of life that are really, really hard, this is still true. And so as a Christ follower, sure, everything you said about he's the only way to restoration to God versus other religions, all that stuff's true. Sure. But as a Christ follower, I need reminders that he's the way, the truth, and the life. I need that.
Even as you're talking, I'm reminded of Paul in Philippians 4. Mm-hmm. He would say, I know how to be brought low.
Yeah, that's right.
Like my circumstances do not change my identity. Like, they are not everything in my life. They're not the authority, all of these things. He also says, I know how to abound. Yep. I know how to be brought low, and I know how to abound. And so whether it's you are in the midst of troubling circumstances, or if you feel like things are going pretty good, we can be tempted to, I think, put our hope in our own selves, that's in right. our own ability to, you said it earlier, do the right things or know the right things or appear the right way, when we need to constantly return to the reminder that no, Jesus is the way. If we will have access to the Father, to our Creator, to a restored right relationship as we were designed to have with him, then that will come through the person of Jesus.
That's right. And in Paul, that you're referring to Philippians 4. And Paul earlier in that chapter will say, don't be anxious about anything. Don't be troubled about anything. But with everything in prayer and supplication, make a request be made known to God. And the peace that surpasses all understanding, this peace that we have, that Jesus is the truth, the way, the truth, and the life, the peace that surpasses all earthly understanding will guard your hearts. Yeah. And that's how Paul learned to be content in all those situations. He centered his mind on the things of the Lord, was focused on him, gave them to him, knowing, regardless of the circumstance, whether he's abounding or brought low, that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. And that's enough for him.
Yeah. One of the other things that's been just really striking to me in my study of this passage is that you have Jesus as the way. He is our access to the Father. You also have in this the promise of what is the eventual end of the Jesus follower. And so, yes, Jesus is the way to our salvation, our justification. Jesus is the way for our sanctification. And you have in this passage a really kind of beautiful promise of what is that glorification to come and some of the things that entails. And so Jesus says, again, believe in God, believe also in me. This is the antidote for the troubled heart, because in his Father's house are many rooms. And if this weren't true, would he have said that he is going to prepare a place? Again, Jesus is the truth.
That's right.
The things that he says are trustworthy. And there is this promise, if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again. I will take you to myself. And where I am, you will be also. So there is he will dwell with us. And just the reminder, I think, for me of this is where this is going. The troubles of today are not meaningless, and they're also not just trouble for trouble's sake. That's right. It is moving towards this redemptive promise that God will again one day dwell with his people. And you will see that fulfillment of, I said we were created for this. Like, remember in the garden, God does dwell with Adam and Eve. He walks in the cool of the day. And we know in Revelation 21, like, he will do that again. And so you see all of these things, again, kind of summed up in just this one declaration of, I am the way and the truth and the life. And if we don't ponder, if we don't slow down and consider those things, I think we kind of check it off as, again, oh, that's cool. And that's one of the things that, as I've been thinking, has been just, again, really, really challenging, really encouraging, and just good within my study.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add on that? Before we move on?
No, I mean, you said ponder. I know we're on the Ponder Pod.
It is the Ponder Pod, yes.
But really, we need to ponder on those things. I mean, think about that. And so our greatest need since the fall is to be redeemed and reconciled back to the Father. Mm-hmm. And so what Jesus is doing here isn't something that's just confined to his earthly ministry that took place in those 3 years. It's all of human history. Hmm. So the biggest problem human history has had since the fall is this thing.
Yeah.
And Jesus is saying, I'm making a way for you to be reconciled back to the Father. Mm-hmm. And for us, that's still our greatest need.
That's right.
Is to be reconciled back to the Father.
Whether we recognize that or not.
That's right.
That's our greatest need.
But it would do us well to ponder that. And that's where the ponder piece comes in on this. One of the ways is, man, my greatest need of anything isn't paying the bills. It isn't this car. It isn't my health. It isn't my kids going on to achieve X, Y, and Z.
It's my happiness.
It's not my happiness. That's right. It's not all of these things. No, my greatest need is and always has been to be reconciled back to the God that my sin has separated me from. Mm-hmm. That's my greatest need. And God himself humbled himself in the form of a man to be the propitiation for my sins. He's the way and the truth and the life. Now I can have salvation through him. For the Christ follower, now I have salvation and I am being saved through Jesus Christ. We would do well to ponder that more. Because I think if we did, we would be in more awe of who he is. We would also be in awe more of what we have in him in our salvation. And it would daily change how we see all of life and how we engage and pursue things. Yeah. And when so-called letdowns in life from a human perspective happen, man, those things just pale so much in comparison to what I have in the Lord. Mm-hmm. Man, it just changes everything. Mm-hmm. And even though the things in my life aren't great, I am happy. I have a joy that's in the Lord that can't be taken away. And to use Paul's language, I'm content in all circumstances. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it would do us well to ponder. The more we ponder on that, I don't see how that doesn't grow us.
Yeah, that's really good. Because if we don't understand our need, if we don't understand why our separation, why our lack of access is a problem, then this is not a beautiful truth to us. And so for us to consider that and then to come back and set our hope on Jesus, to marvel at who he is, to believe that he is the Christ and all that that means, and to have life in his name and all that that means, again, is why we have this section.
And if we don't ponder it, we can easily become entitled to it. Think about this for a minute. So my kids, they love Oreos. We have Oreos in our house quite a bit. They believe they're entitled to Oreos.
So when there's not Oreos.
Where's the Oreos? Mm-hmm. Do you think kids in every country and every culture and every circumstance, even in our country, have Oreos all the time? They don't. My kids aren't entitled to Oreos. They're not. In growing up where we grow up in the Bible Belt, I think it's easy for us to think we're entitled to our salvation. And we're just not. But pondering on these truths and asking the Holy Spirit to convict our hearts and grow us, again, does us well. I'll stop talking about that.
No, that's really good. I do want to, for just a quick second, look at practice.
Yes.
And so within our workout, we know we have ponder, pray, and practice.
We do a double stuff practice?
Sure. This is, we'll do a double stuff ponder pod. We'll ponder and we'll practice. So the practice this week is really going to look at how we would apply the implications of Jesus as the way, the truth, and the life to our lives. One of them being to what Jesus says in kind of this direct command, let not your hearts be troubled. So we've talked a lot about maybe the principles that would inform how we do that, how we let not our hearts be troubled, how we guard our hearts from being troubled. Can you give us just some, maybe even put your counseling hat on for a second, some, thank you, tangible maybe steps for, okay, if I want to purpose this week to guard my heart from being troubled, what does that look like? How do I pursue that?
Yeah, and I think there's a few things. One, in a counseling situation, when someone is consistently troubled by something, I'll ask them to rehearse the gospel to themselves every morning.
So what does that mean? Just
Preach the gospel to yourself. Like, what is the gospel? And that uncovers God's good, I'm sinful, my greatest need is salvation, God provided a way for my salvation in Jesus Christ, this is for the Christ follower, I'm redeemed in Jesus Christ, I'm saved and I am being saved, and He's making a place for me and He is coming back. There is future glorification, there's future me and the Lord forever, right, with the rest of the church body. And so that should be the truth I anchor myself into. So no matter what's on my schedule for the day, no matter what I'm experiencing, that's the truth. So that's a way, right? Preach the gospel to yourself. And get in the Word.
Yeah.
Be in the Word.
You won't know the gospel apart from the Word.
That's right. You've got to be in the Word. And so continue to saturate yourself, anchor your heart in the Word. Like, if we're going through John's a great place to be. If you're really troubled in heart, Philippians 4 is a great place to be in that. And then stop and think, and we have a heart journal on the East Tennessee Biblical Counseling website, and it's something we typically use in counseling. But anytime you experience significant emotions of anxiety, depression, sadness, whatever, journal these things. What do I believe to be true about God right now? What's the context of the situation? What do I believe to be true about me? What am I desiring, feeling? What do I want? What scripture am I using to anchor my heart? What am I praying? And that helps me and anybody else who uses it to identify, man, why is my heart troubled? What is it? Am I believing that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life? Do I believe for some reason He's less than that? Do I believe that my greatest need is something other than my salvation? And that helps recalibrate our hearts to who God is. And then we just entrust whatever earthly troubles to Him by prayer and supplication. Don't be anxious about them, but give those things to the Lord. Right. While also trusting, but my greatest need has also been met already in the person and work of Jesus Christ, who is the way, the truth, and the life. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And the reason that we can trust in that is because He is the truth.
That's right.
And the reason why that is worthy of pursuit is because He is the life.
That's
and there
right.
is nothing else apart from Him.
That's right. You know what else I need?
What else do you need?
I need the church body. I need to not go at things in life that are difficult, that are tempted to trouble me, in isolation. So rather than withdraw, I need to come to someone and say, will you walk with me in this? Will you encourage me in this? When I'm not trusting the Lord, maybe I need encouragement. Maybe I need admonishment. Yeah. But love me enough to do whatever it is to do to bring me back to this truth.
Yeah, that's really good. And so good, in fact, that we will let that be the final word. So for you, as you continue to read and study, spend time in the Word. Spend time pondering, but also spend time with one another and with the body, and talk about these things, ask questions, wrestle through it together, consider the implications and the practices for how that changes our lives. With that, we will see you next week. This has been the Ponder Pod, which exists to help us study God's Word. You can find the workout and other study resources online at tcbchurch.org/John. You can join Prepare on Sunday mornings or Behind the Message on Wednesday nights to help you study alongside others in our church family.